And we're off to the races, like I normally say. Welcome to another Almost Famous radio podcast show with yours truly, Jim Francis Mesa. Tonight is one for the books. I cannot stress it enough. As I live and breathe, dude, I cannot believe that you're here right in front of me and it's unbelievable in the flesh. It's my good friend, compadre, comrade, confidant. We were classmates with the great Tom Sizemore, rest in peace. I mean, we worked together on so many things, worked on a couple of short films. We worked on one with Marie, and we did a few others, and one with, I think it was Emergence 2028. I'm super delighted to have you here, man. I mean, honest to God, it's been a long time in coming, but finally you're here because I hadn't actually physically seen you in forever. So without further ado, let's welcome my good friend, James E. Welsh.
Woo!
Yeah. Dude.
Thank you, Jimmy, for that beautiful, beautiful introduction.
Oh.
And I'm happy to be here. It was so cool to get reunited.
Yeah,
we keep in touch, but
so good.
Here we are, back together again. Oh, Dude, we had some great times, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And many a times you brought up like the Beatles, like getting back together. And this is sort of that kind of deal where two great friends, that finally
putting the band back together.
Let's get the band going, and here we are.
Like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Let's get the band back together.
I have got to tell you, first off, I know you run your, Equality Paint Plus company since 1980s.
I do.
And it's been, you dabble in so much, the acting, the, auditioning, prep time and whatnot, and then dating lots of women, which we're going to get around to that.
Let's get right to it. Right?
But I had to ask you, one thing that a lot of people have actually asked me when they found out that you were going to be on the show. And they asked me, where's your ex-girlfriend? I mean, she's your ex-girlfriend, but according to the Wikipedia, you guys are still an item.
How do you get a hold of Wikipedia anyway? Because I want them to change that.
I'll find that number for you.
I'll tell you, it's since we're going to just dive right into this.
Yeah. We're not mincing
obviously. I was somewhat in the public eye, quite a bit.
Yeah,
quite a bit. I've been on talk shows. I've been on game shows. I've been to events that were covered by the morning news.
Right.
I was on a New York morning news show. I mean, it was quite a lot for a long time. And all of a sudden, I chose to do other things with my life and to move in a different direction because I had some great times. Jimmy, I traveled around the world.
Yeah.
I met people that I probably never would have met, and I've seen things I probably never would have seen.
Right.
I experienced things I never would have experienced, but I did have a life before that, and I did meet people, and I did experience things and stuff. So it's not like my life began and then ended as this situation that we won't.
Right.
I'm not mentioning names. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about me.
You.
I can talk about me.
Yeah, sure.
Because of course.
Was there an NDA?
I've been reminded that I signed an NDA.
Oh shit!
For a certain period of my time that I'm not supposed to talk about.
Whoops.
Someone else, and that's fine. I'm not, no shade or anything. I'm not saying anything bad. Matter of fact, I had some of the best times of my life.
Sure.
But I felt it was time to move on. I love my mom, and she's getting up there, and I wanted to spend time with her, and I wanted to dedicate time to things that I just wanted to live a truer life that I felt was more true to myself and not, just keep going along and, for something that wasn't really what it appeared to be.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So after a while, you get to the point, it wasn't like I just woke up one day and said, I want to be single.
That's heavy.
It got to a point where I felt like this isn't fulfilling, and I've had many relationships in the past.
Lots.
So I'm not talking about any which one, But sometimes you
Yeah.
wake up and you think maybe that person would be happier if she could pursue what is better for her just as much as I should be pursuing what's better for me. Okay? So, that being said, I decided that I wanted to not be in the public eye as part of anyone's brand, and no hard feelings, no shade or nothing like that. But what I couldn't figure out is I was told, when I wanted to bring my publicist in, now you got me talking here. I'm going to say it. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about anyone else.
We're drinking. I don't give a shit.
I had a publicist. I have a publicist, Michael Conley, and I decided, to talk to him and say, I don't know how this is going to go down. And he said, well, I can make a letter and, draw up a letter, and we can send it to someone else's team and people, and we can, agree on how this is going to be announced.
Okay.
Because I felt like it was a big deal.
Yeah,
okay?
It is a big deal.
For the other person too, not just for me.
Right.
So I was told that, hey, it's not a press event, just let it happen. And you know how 3 days later or 3 nights later, you're laying in bed one night and then you think of a good comeback that you could have used days ago?
Mm-hmm. Right, sure.
The whole damn thing was a press event as far as I'm concerned. And in a way, I'm not saying that's all it was, but it was every move and time, around every corner. All of a sudden, these blogs are coming out and everything. And, I went from 1,000 Instagram followers to 46,000 Instagram followers because there were a lot of fans that weren't mine that came over to want to see what I was doing. So now I've been dating, as you might have noticed.
Yeah, man, quite extensive. You're prolific.
And let me just not ramble on too much here.
No,
but
fine.
all of a sudden, people are starting to get in the comments. They're getting in my comments saying, "What happened to so? And what happened to this? What happened to that?" Yeah. And then other people going, "Oh, didn't you know it was months ago and this and that?" Now people are saying, "Well, I'm unfollowing him because that's the only reason I was here."
Right.
And I love it when they tell me they're going to unfollow me because then I can block them.
James, we got to address always the elephant in the room had to be addressed. And I'm glad you did it on my show, Almost Famous with Jim Francis. I'm excited that you did it on our show because it's a reunion. This is kind of like we started the Jim and James Morning Podcast.
Right.
And all we're doing is coming clean. The cat is out of the bag, apparently.
I don't want to drone on about it or anything, but I did feel a certain way about it just being so quiet and not being talked about and not being announced and not being in the blogs and not being in the news, not whatever you want to call it.
You're like an afterthought of sorts.
Well, it's like all of a sudden, like I'm more than happy to fade or to go back into obscurity.
Right.
That's okay with me. I got my own thing going that I'm proud
you're an
of.
Actor, you do your thing.
I'm working, I'm auditioning, I have my business, I have my family, I have everything I need. But the funny thing is that it's been so quiet. Right. And I don't understand why. Why there's not just it's not just out there.
That quiet is deafening.
It is. Because when someone says, oh, it's not a press event, well, it seems like it has been for years.
Yeah. Well, you're still clearly in Wikipedia, you're still together.
Well, last year I was on Tamron Hall show, and it was the big Valentine's Day episode or week, and I was more than happy to do that. And it's just that all of a sudden now it's so quiet, and just let it happen. Well, we didn't just let it happen when it was we're going through all these years where I was being put out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was being, there was things that were said about me, or there was things that I'm fine. I'm good. I'm just saying that if I lose all the Instagram followers, I'm not trying to be an influencer. I love Instagram, by the way.
Right.
I love it. My mom's a big hit on it.
Yeah, she's great.
I like to do Red Friday.
Sure.
I wore my red on Friday.
Shirt, right.
Yeah, not this one, but another one I posted.
Yeah.
And, I also like letting some people want to know what am I doing with my acting.
Sure.
I'm auditioning, and there's a movie coming out called Cowboy and Indian. I think it's going to be released in August. And it's it's very timely. This movie is about a guy from Texas and then a guy from India, and that's why it's cowboy and Indian.
Got
They
it.
become friends against all odds. I'm not sure what's in the trailer. I'm not sure what I can say about it,
Right.
because but watch for it. It's
We'll keep
such
it
an
tight-lipped
important
for now,
movie.
but it's a
It's
great.
such a it's I wanted to be a part of it.
Okay.
So I was happy
kudos to you,
play
man.
whatever they wanted me to
Yeah.
be a part of this really important movie. I think it's going to have a really strong message, a message that we need today.
Right. Okay. So we'll look out for this movie, man, and congrats on that. And I wanted to ask you real quick because it got really heavy. We were talking about some stuff, but I also wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you, okay, because people have asked, like, who walked out on who first, and what set the stage? Was this coming, like, was it something that was sort of like setting itself up? Were you guys on the rocks at some point, or did just like one day, you know what? Well, let's just fuck this. Let's be over. Like, why don't we just you go ahead and get lost, and I'll get lost, and we'll pretend this never happened, kind of thing. You guys walked away, or was it what set the stage for this?
Well, all I'll talk about is,
I know, but barring the obvious reason you have.
Okay,
an NDA
so it was
written.
very, very public that I signed an NDA. It was joked about and laughed about, and it was a big thing. Like when I remember there was an interview, I'm sure it could be dug up, or did he make you sign an NDA?
Oh, yeah.
And like, who knows? Nobody knows who he is. Well, I have family, I have friends, I have clients that I work for, and everything.
Sure.
But I chose to say, no, I'm good. You don't worry about it. I'll sign it.
But you got to speak your truth, though.
I'm speaking my truth. My truth is that I chose to walk away from a situation, and that's why it's hard for me to understand why I'm still. It's like when I chose to walk away, it was because I didn't want to be a part of that brand anymore.
Right.
But I was told it's not a brand. It's So there was a day when there was a time when I decided that it's better for us,
call it quits,
for me to be happier,
right?
And maybe the other person too, whoever I'm talking about, whatever. I'm not going to get into. I'm not mentioning anything. I've had a lot of relationships.
XYZ.
I've had relationships. Okay, so I've been single since January, and I've had relationships before my last relationship.
Right.
And I've dated since that relationship.
Right, sure.
So maybe I had some breakups since then. But really, honestly, I just been dating, and I'm fine with being single.
Yeah.
I'm a satisfied single.
You seem like a lot happier, by the way, being single. And I'm very happy for you because I think it's more fulfilling now for you. You're in a better place in your life. Just looking at you, everybody's going to tell you're having a blast.
Yeah, I'm enjoying doing my own thing, going to where I want to go, and meeting people. And there's a girl I'm dating right now that I think is really nice. And then I have other friends, and I go to different events because not like I was before.
Right. You were touring the world. You literally were around
I have
the globe.
Like I said, I had some of the best experiences of my life, and there's no hard feelings with any of my ex girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I hope people can see who I am for who I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
You're a great guy, dude. You're an all-around great dude.
Thank
James
you.
Welsh,
I appreciate it. I work hard.
You work hard. You audition. You work hard.
I work hard at my craft. I know that someone used to talk about, and I agree, that there are lazy actors out there. They think it's just going to happen for them, but they don't want to study. They don't want to go to classes. They don't want to learn monologues. They don't want to do showcases. They just think, oh, well, it's just going to happen, But as we know, because we were in Tom Sizemore's class, and Tom was amazing.
Sizemore.
The other thing I was going to, not to change.
No, we can shift gears. Yeah, I was going to ask you something.
So I was thinking about when you were talking about some of the stuff we've done in the past, when we've experienced a lot of we've had some great times.
James and I were on our podcast, the Jim and James Morning Podcast,
and we
hell of a fucking podcast,
and
Chi from Scarface, right?
Yeah.
And
but what I was thinking about on the way over here was
Fuino.
When we were in
great friend
Marie's movie together.
Sure.
where it was a futuristic thing.
Yeah, or like
and
journalist.
you were
or,
interviewing
yeah.
me, and I was some scientist or something. I really love that, and I
too.
gotta see, maybe talk to Marie or
Yeah.
something. Unless you know how I want to get the best footage I can from that and
Sure.
put it in my acting reel,
Acting reel,
because
yeah.
I just made a new reel not too long ago,
Yeah, it's good. I saw it.
and it has some cool stuff in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm really happy with my life right now.
You are.
I'm
You look
no
complete.
regrets. No
look-
regrets.
You look complete and full of joy, and it's just brimming everywhere, bro. You just like
I'm still doing the boxing thing. A lot of
Yeah?
people wonder if I gave
Yeah.
up. I had some injuries.
yeah, you were gonna
I
get down with
kinda-
somebody, weren't you? Gonna fight somewhere.
I
right?
wanted
Yeah.
to do a boxing match for, it's called the
Like a
it's for
celebrity?
older guys. No, it's
Okay.
for older guys. It's a real deal. It's an amateur thing, but you have a referee. That, I mean, not only just of course you're gonna have a referee, but there's a doctor that checks you out. They weigh you in.
Okay, it's a real thing.
It's
like
a real
yeah.
thing, and you get a belt afterwards.
It's fantastic.
And Liam, my buddy Liam, is training me, and I
Okay.
took a long break, and I was going to do
Cool.
it right around my 60th birthday or something. But first I think it was the wrist. I wasn't, I didn't have the positioning of my
Yeah.
wrist right, and I hurt my wrist. Then I hurt my shoulder, and
Did
so
you get carpal tunnel massaging all those girls?
well, you know how that goes. It's so I have to ice my wrists after doing the massaging. But yeah, I still want to do it. I'm probably going to spar tomorrow morning.
Cool, man.
And I was in the
Awesome.
gym the other night. I'm easing back into it.
Yeah,
you know who
yeah,
I
yeah.
love, who I think is just amazing, is Sinisa Superbad.
Yeah.
And she's giving me some words of encouragement when I was really going strong, like in the gym 3 times a week and really, really pushing, But
you
I
said
kind of
Cindy Lales? Is that the lady we had on?
Cindy,
Remember
love
we had her on the show?
Cindy.
Yeah.
She knows,
She's a great
of
person.
course, if but
She was a Laker, wasn't she?
she's a
Laker
friend
girl?
of ours, and she was a Lakers cheerleader. We had so many great people.
Good actors.
Mike James,
Robert Miano.
that was Robert
Mike
Miano,
James.
yeah, and
Chi-Chi.
some people came through the relationship that I was in, like Mike James and Willis, and then there were
Okay, but what happened to her? Because I asked her point blank if she was coming to the show on our podcast, and she never made the time to come on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I can't speak to that.
Oh,
but
my God, dude.
but I can tell you that
Yeah.
that I thought that would have been great.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I thought that would have been great,
yeah.
because I didn't think it was a bad. I thought it was a.
it was a great show.
We've gotten compliments.
We've
and,
always gotten compliments.
I mean, even if she wanted to do. Well, I don't want to get into the who she is.
Yeah.
But if one of my ex-girlfriends out of my past, I've had so many.
Yeah.
Not just in the past few years.
I love
but
it,
in
dude.
I'm 40. I'm 40 something now.
Yeah,
no,
45.
I'm 60, so I've had a lot of relationships, long ones too. And there was a certain woman that I was involved with that I wanted to come on, and
She
even if
always
it would
made
have just been
excuses,
one-on-one,
apparently,
even if it would have been just one-on-one, it would have been nice.
I would have
but-
said, dude, girlfriend, I even told you, you know what? On certain days, I'm not going to make it in. Have her just come in and step in for me as a decoy. Never once did it. I didn't understand why, to be quite frank, because it was a great show. I'm just putting out facts. Our show you and I had a dynamic, like a great dynamic from day one. And we knew that it was a fantastic show. We put it together, blood, sweat, and tears. It worked out nice. And we had a lot of comedic moments. And
I invested so much.
and you
into
invested a
that.
lot. So why didn't this person, begs the question, why didn't this person decide to at least once come on the show? I mean, I just want to put that out there. It's a big, question mark. Whatever. We're going to leave that out. But let's get back into
I
Tom
can't speak
Sizemore.
to that.
Let's talk to Tom. Let's talk about Tom Sizemore's class, because there's a lot to talk about in so little time. I wanted to ask you, what I want to speak to the core values that Tom had, because a lot of people think that this guy was just all like hopped up on drugs or whatever it was. But Tom Sizemore, there was a period of time that he wasn't dabbling in drugs. And like anybody else, you can there's a turn a corner and actually stop doing what you're doing. Unfortunately, you get dragged through the mud, and once your name is dragged, like there's no coming back from that. But we had very personal relationship with Tom Sizemore. We knew Tom Sizemore, the gentleman. We knew Tom Sizemore, the empathic person, the person who went out of his way very compassionately. That one scene where I had the scene with Carlos Mendes, another great friend of ours, Eva Mendes' brother, Carlos Mendes.
One that you guys did?
I did. You did it, and then I did the scene. And the one moment that stands in my mind, still stands out, is when he says, "You're in jail, Jimmy, but that is your son. Talk to him the way you would talk to little Jimmy when you talk to little James in the car." Because I used to drive him from
right. There's so many Jims and James.
Right, there's all of us are
funny.
James.
You have a son named James. I have a son named James.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a scene that you did. What was it from?
I don't know that this. I can't for the life of me remember.
Right,
it escapes me right now.
But that's fine.
But we were in the scene. I would play the guy that'd been in prison that then finally gets let out of. Now
was Carlos? He wasn't playing your son.
He plays my son.
Oh, he does play.
He does play my son.
Okay.
So at some point, I mean, through the whole rhetoric or whatever it was like you're talking to your son.
Right.
But I was more harsh because I had done some pretty fucking hard time in jail in the Hokey.
Right.
And then I come out from the Hokey and I'm like talking to this guy and have absolutely no compassion for him. He goes, "No, Jimmy, let's stop this, Jim. Dude, okay." And he, he'd set you aside, and he had this way of.
He was the whisperer.
Yeah, like the whisperer.
He'd take you back in the hallway,
like an oracle, and he just kind of like just infused this like beauty, like just the way the words, just like a wordsmith, right? The guy's always carried a book around, and it's like, "Jimmy, he's your son. Talk to him the way you talk to your son." And this is why it stands out, because the whole time he was in the car, I always thought he was asleep. He was actually listening to my conversation. Once I was talking about Heidi Flies. He was talking about Heidi Flies, and then he had her in the on the phone because they were thinking about, here's another one out of the. This is great having you on.
Out of the blue, yeah.
Out of the blue. He talks about he was going to start a podcast. He wanted to start a podcast with Heidi Flies, his Madam Heidi Flies back in the day. Now she's like, what is she, like a curator or something? Like she's got birds.
She's really into birds.
Yeah, just like tons of birds.
Lots of birds.
Dude.
Big thing about birds got stolen. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
So. Anyway, let me bring it back. And so that's what I remember. That's the Tom Sizemore that I remember.
I got some stories.
Can you share some of your, because it's like, share some of your stories, some insight, something he told you that still
things, if there are any actors that are watching, or
there's going to be a lot of different people.
And you want to talk about, to have an acting coach.
Right.
That was in movies directed by Steven Spielberg, Oliver Stone, Michael Mann.
Yeah.
Went toe-to-toe with Denzel Washington early in his career. And, I mean, the list goes on. I mean...
Point Break, right?
But there was, like, 5 directors that I could list. I listed Steven Spielberg, Oliver Stone, Michael Mann.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other really big ones that he's worked with. And the main thing he said is, learn the dialogue. You got to know it like your phone number.
Right.
And I felt that helped me the most, but he would give you these little insights, and I got a tape. I got a video of him where he said, if it's not interesting, people aren't going to want to watch. Sure. And then I told him that anytime I saw him on the screen, I don't care, and not that I don't care, but if it was with Tom Hanks or anyone,
Keanu Reeves,
that
small little tidbit.
I found him more interesting to watch. I was drawn to watch him. There was something about Tom. He had this electricity. He had this. But the one memory that I have that comes to mind is when we didn't know what happened. We didn't know that he had a medical emergency.
Right.
And he didn't come to class to teach. Which I just want to add that Tom didn't have to take time out of his life to come and teach a bunch of guys on a Saturday, or guys and girls and a bunch of people. He didn't have to do that.
Right.
I mean, that was really great for him to do that. But he loved that scene that Marie and I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marie did. It was great.
And he wanted me to do it at this new place he was going to be teaching with Marie. And I remember he had us do it with.
Is that the one with the condom? You felt the condom? Were you the dad?
Yeah. It was. I walked in on my. She was stooping the neighbor, right? So what happened is I sent the video because we did it that day that he wasn't there, And I say, hey, it went great. And I sent it to him and everything. Little did I know that the night before he had an aneurysm and he was laid up in the hospital.
Probably
And
already
he
on the
wasn't
other
going to
side.
make it. Yeah, he wasn't going to make it out because it was so bad that he was basically on life support for 10 days or something. And I'm so sorry. I always pray for his kids and his family. And
you remember the very last time we drove together and he was running lines and
we were running lines from Point Break,
not those lines, not those lines either.
No.
We're running lines in the truck, talking about the Point Break. Like, hey, how does it go, Jimmy? How's it go? So like, do you like this hair?
He liked that though. You know what? I remember when we started doing it with each other, and I looked over and he had a little smile. But I miss him so much because he was a mentor. He was a teacher like you wouldn't like. I love teachers that have that kind of experience.
Sure.
And one time I was telling him, man, you could make the biggest comeback. I know people have told you this before, Tom, but you could make the biggest comeback. And look at Jeffrey, the guy from that was in the Trader Joe's, and somebody was making fun of him, putting it online, and then he ended up by blowing up, getting his career back, right?
Yeah.
And I said, Brendan Fraser came back strong. Of course, the biggest
whale,
one.
or what's that? The Whale. He won an Oscar for The Whale.
Yeah.
Wow, what a
but you talk about like the biggest one was Robert Downey Jr., right? And he told stories about Robert.
Yeah, he told about Robert.
Yeah, he had some great. Tom told the best stories. But I said, dude, come on, man. I said, you could put me on. You could help get me on the map.
You want me to tell the Robert De Niro story, or should I?
But
keep
real
it to myself?
real quick, he said, I still look like me, right?
Yeah,
Jimmy, because he called me Jimmy sometimes.
Yeah.
And I said, Tom, you still are you. And this guy was brilliant. He was still the actor that he was. Maybe he didn't take the best care of himself. He let himself go.
He's still sharp though, huh? He could recite all kinds of shit.
One time I was I said this at his memorial. I said, we were in his kitchen. I brought Der Wiener Schnitzel, and he wanted me to stop and get him pink Schnapple, and he wanted me to pick him up a box of, or a pack of red apples or Marlboros, or and I go to all these different stores, and he said, I don't think we're going to have time to work out. And I go, okay, yeah. He goes, we'll just help. He was going to help me with an audition.
Right.
And I got a call back, right?
Wow.
For Yellowstone.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, he's got a chili cheese dog in one hand and a peach Snapple in the other, or whatever. And he's telling me the story about Othello, the time he did Othello on stage. And next thing you know, he just starts going into it.
Wow.
And he's standing in his kitchen with the chili cheese dog and the thing, and he's doing a whole scene from like these monologues from Othello. Dude. Yeah, it was remarkable. He was incredible, amazing.
I always.
But do you want to tell the De Niro story? You're gonna save that. You want to drop?
Let's drop. Let's drop it. Let's just do it. We're fucking drinking. Who gives a shit?
Drop it.
Cheers. So he tells me one day. He tells me, I got started in this business. He goes, Jimmy, if you want, you know the way he talked. If you really want to get to the business, guys, really got into the business. I mean, you got to know somebody. See, a lot of people don't understand. Like, you either know someone, you work your ass off, and eventually, somewhere down the line, you get found somewhere, or he goes. It's like in my case where Robert De Niro's my godfather.
Now, come on.
True story. It's a true story.
He told
me that.
From his
Robert De Niro.
From his mouth to your ears.
Fuck yeah.
Really?
Horse's mouth, dude.
Come on.
Robert De Niro is his godfather, okay?
But he told a lot of stories sometimes.
He was fucking his mom. That's what he told me. He was having sex with his mom.
On. Now, you didn't have to say that part.
He helped start his career. He helped jumpstart his career, is what he told me. Robert De Niro helped jumpstart his career because he was having sex with Tom's mom. And she was single, though. So they were just, going out or whatever it was. And then he helped out a young, Tom Sizemore get started. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. If it was
I know De Niro likes sisters.
Yeah.
He likes,
Yeah, he does. And
so
but this was many years before. And Tom Sizemore was in his early 90s.
So did Tom. Tom.
Yeah, Tom liked black girls too.
He used to tell me, hey, can you get your girl to set me up with, and he told me exactly what kind of girl that he liked. And I didn't know who she was.
Okay.
And I told the person I was with, and she laughed because she was like, oh my God, I know exactly what he's talking about,
Yeah,
she's kind of a ratchet chick. I think the girl that he was saying.
I think he liked ratchet girls sometimes.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah.
Because the thing was, when I first met him, I used to drive him. I used to be his limo driver. And I used to drive him. And this one time I told you, the girls were fucking duplicated. He started off like he left the house with like 4 chicks. And then he came back and it was like 8. There was 7 or 8 girls. And he goes, hey, man, I got to.
Should I tell the story?
Yeah.
Should I? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, let's have fun with this, man.
All right.
Okay,
I
come
said,
on.
Tom, I said, you've been around the,
Yeah.
you did live the life and everything.
Sure.
I said, what's the most expensive
Yeah.
call girl you've ever
Yeah.
ran into, right?
Yeah.
And he said, Jimmy, let me tell you, Jimmy. Okay, let me tell you, Jimmy. He said, I was in Sundance.
Okay.
And these two girls, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, they were 12s, He said, they wanted like 1,500 a night or something. Back then, we're talking back in the what?
Like 90s?
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
No, it was
like
probably
late
80s.
Late 80s.
80s or 90s. Late 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s. That definitely not bad. So anyway, when he was doing we could look up the movie dates, and he said, so there was 2 of them, right? Yeah. So he said he made a deal with them to spend a month, both of them, for $30,000 each.
Wow.
So $60,000 to hang out.
Holy smokes.
Am I gonna get in trouble for saying that?
No.
You sure?
You just you can say all that, just don't say any fucking foul language. Like I just did.
Well, I didn't say he fucked. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to be no shock value or edgy.
I don't care. I'm like but I find that the more shock value there is, it's better. People like to hear. Well, we speak truth because I've been a driver for many years, and then we lived this, dude, with Tom. Some of the stories that I have that I'd rather not, because some stories I just should keep to myself or for us, anyway. It's best that way. It's best kept secret, tight lip about it. But some of the ones that are fun to talk about, like there is a few others.
You remember, we got a video of it too, because he was cool with the guy videoing, taping it, of when he was telling that story. And he embellished.
Yeah, he did.
He was telling the story about when he was a waiter.
Okay.
And
tell that joke. Tell that it was a joke, right? Tell that joke.
No, it wasn't a joke. He told the whole story about how this guy was busting his balls,
right,
to impress some girl because he had and then he's telling him, he says, the butter's not soft enough and everything. And at the very end of the story, he said, I tell you what, why don't you take that butter, stick it between your ass cheeks for exactly 2.5 minutes, and then you can put it on that bread and stuff it in that bitch's mouth. I mean, I'm sorry, but he was funny. Oh, we were rolling, we were cracking up. Yeah. So then, of course, he's going to add on to the story to make it really interesting. Sure. This guy was a mob guy in New York. Had just got out of prison. That was like a mob family. So they're hiding Tom in the back. And then he has to go in somebody's like backseat of the car and duck down like he's Elvis or something, trying to get out of there. And then the owner of the restaurant said, "No, I fired him. I don't know where he lived. I don't know where he lived." Tom told that story. We were, because he said, that first this wasn't right, and send the whole thing back, not just the butter, send the whole meal back. And so he's saying, this guy. And then at the end, he said he just finally told him, why don't you,
some glorious moments we spent in that Harvell's, right?
What was the other one where he was talking about? Since we're getting into it, might as well just start. We're going to tell all the stories. We
literally have 8 minutes. By the way,
we're going to tell the stories. But
7.
Where he was out there for the casting director. And he had, I can't remember who else was there. It was like Duchovny or something.
Okay.
And they're out there in this alley with no shirts on, and he's like, "What's going on?" It's like for a commercial or something. He said, Hollywood is definitely
fucking bizarre.
Definitely,
dude.
he's a
He
how you want to wrap this thing up?
He embodied fucking elegance in a crazy rock and roll kind of way, if that's a good way to paint that and emboss that, if you will, because at this point, I mean, he's legendary, dude, because there was people that, like, what's the other guy who he was good friends with? He's the other dude that comes out in mob movies.
The Baldwins?
Marcin or
Oh,
Madsen.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
That's like him and Tom.
I would love to meet Michael.
Have that it factor.
And,
you know,
and talk to him.
Some people have that it factor that they do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no, Tom had a presence from the very beginning.
Yeah,
that Mentos commercial, man, that was the best. But I watch his movies all the time, and I just think, what a bummer, man. It's just like, he was so amazing. I'm glad we got the chance to know him, and But thanks for having me on, because you know, you hadn't seen me in a long time, and you asked what's going on, how come it seems to the, you know, like you guys are still together,
right?
And I'm glad we got to set the record straight.
We set it straight tonight.
Because I don't honestly, I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be known, and I think that there should have been something that said there was a split.
Sure.
Because
absolutely,
I'm not a part of that brand anymore. I'm not a part, but there's no brand.
You are.
There's no brand. Well, no, it's been kept so quiet, and I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Right. Hey, man,
and I know there are people that are upset about it once they find out. I might go back down to 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm okay with that, but there are people that still.
I will have to butt in here and tell you this much. The fact of the matter, okay, we had to set the matter straight, to be quite frank with you. And I mean, it was coming. This is my show. Yeah. I'm crazy like that. I'm going to ask the hard questions. The thing is, and I'm sorry I put you in the hot seat, honest to God, but I had to ask you why you're not an afterthought. You're a great man. You're a great dad. You have 3 wonderful boys. You have a great grandma.
I don't have a problem with that. I just don't like the idea that, you know, I don't know what the deal is. Like, maybe there's questions that aren't allowed to be asked, or maybe, you know, it's benefiting to just, you know, keep it quiet and let it keep going the way it used to. Because I don't think it's right. I think it should there should be something that was put out, a statement or something.
Something
and
needs to be
I was
put
approached by TMZ.
Right.
I didn't say anything to them. I'm coming here.
Right.
I've been single since January.
Right.
I'm not thirsty for attention or anything.
No.
I'm just saying, there's something that's weird about it.
Wrong.
That's weird. No, it's just weird.
I just don't like it.
I just don't get it. Why is it so quiet? After it was out there, I was just put out there so much. Now there's not even one thing that got put out there that said, there's been a split. It is, you know, no longer. Well, you've seen me out and about. I have
You're
friends.
having quite a bit of fun.
I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying myself, you know.
Yeah, a lot of
I love acting.
A lot of conquests.
It's not about being famous.
That you talk to.
It's not about getting famous. It's not about being famous. I love acting. I just want to keep getting better and better.
You just enjoy it, man. I mean, that's the thing. One of the things
I work on my craft.
You worked on your craft a lot, and you know, I saw you every time, and that's the one, among other things, you know, common threads that we have that we love. We enjoy entertaining.
Exactly.
We enjoy entertaining, bro. And
we got to get that. We got to start pushing that short, because it's very, very good.
Yeah. Maybe we should just take some more comedy classes together.
And that too, because I enjoyed that.
Fun.
Yeah, it's just fun. That's all.
Great
it is.
to talk
it's fun.
Shit. It's great.
I've been told I was funny, you know, but I enjoy comedic acting.
Yeah, I love it. That's a good comics on the show.
But yeah, I've had some great auditions. We got the movie coming out. We got this Emergence 2028 thing. If it ever gets released,
or 2029 or 2030.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's, you know, because it would be nice to see it come out.
Yeah.
But the other thing is
guys,
Cowboy and Indian is a movie that I'm in that's coming out in August. And I've had some great. I'm really excited about the auditions I've been getting, and I just did a national commercial, by the way.
Yay! That's right. That's where you got lost a little bit in Arizona somewhere, right? That's where you're out there. Where'd you guys shoot?
No, it was here in LA, but I go out to Arizona sometimes because I have stuff going on.
And you're a big advocate of like animal rights and dogs, and especially
Project Angel Food. I won't be there. I've been there the last few years, but obviously there's reasons why I won't be there.
Okay.
And that's fine. I 100%. I 110%. I
you
support.
did it out of the goodness of your heart, because you're a good dude.
I enjoyed every bit of involvement. Every time I've gone to the fundraisers and the telethons and you know, helping out on Thanksgiving and stuff, and I hope to go again throughout the year, not just on the big special days.
Right.
And also, Remember Everyone Deployed is a big thing, because my son
Friday.
he had 4 tours
That's
of,
right.
of in combat and stuff.
God bless
so.
him, and thank
But
you.
I don't want.
Thank
Yeah,
him
no,
for
we're running out.
no. Thank him for his service.
Oh,
you
for
know?
sure.
And God bless you, and God bless America. I really am blessed, beyond blessed, to have a good, like a brother from another mother, as they would say. I don't know if that's still like like
Politically correct?
chic,
Oh,
or
chic? Or
like
cool?
people are cool or whatnot. But you are a brother, man, and God bless you in many ways. And hopefully we were able to have a great conversation and tickle some ears. Maybe if nothing else, at least you came and for those wondering people, because inquisitive minds were asking, you have set the record straight. James, it's a real pleasure. Thank you. That's my show, Almost Famous with Jim
Thank you.
Francis. James Welsh, the great James Welsh, ladies and gentlemen. I'm humbled. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Till next time.